Hello everyone, welcome back to Planet Coaster and welcome back to Summer Heights. It's been a little while since we're in this one because I kept changing the build. I got it sort of nearly complete and then I wasn't happy with some of the theming, so I went back and started it again. So this is actually the second go at doing the commentary for this one because I don't think the original commentary was quite relevant enough. So I just thought I'd start it all again. So in this one we're building an inverted coaster. This is the second coaster for the park. So it's based on the B&M Invert model that you see most commonly when you see these sort of coasters. So rides like Nemesis, Black Mamba at Phantasialand, Montu, Busch Gardens, Tampa. Yeah, any sort of, well, not any invert, but the most popular ones and the best ones are usually these by B&M. So we're not going for a standard layout because it has to fit in with all the scenery and stuff. When I say standard layout, they all vary a bit usually, these. But you know, there are a few clone ones like Batman the Ride in various Six Flags parks and stuff like that. But here, yeah, we're going for a custom layout, just trying to use many of the same inversions and sort of elements that you'd normally see on one of these. So I put myself through the sort of usual torture of doing the 4-meter trick. So where you build the smallest piece of track you can possibly build. Build the whole layout using that piece of track with slightly more exaggerated sections of track. And then you go back through smoothing 4 pieces at a time. And it takes about 3 or 4 hours to do the smoothing process. It didn't take me as long to do it with this one because I used a lot of pre-made inversions. You know, the sort of in-game ones like the Cobra Roll and stuff. So they took up quite a lot of track space, so it saved me having to obviously do the smoothing trick on those pieces. And I had to make a couple of modifications later in the video because I wasn't happy with some of the supports and stuff like that. So yeah, there is one section of track which just isn't smooth at all, but you know, we can just pretend that this is a really old coaster because after a few years these do get, well, they can get rough. To be honest, they don't age as badly as the flawless coasters that B&M do. They seem to get really rough after a lot of years unless they have some retracking or something, but yeah. So yeah, we can just say it's a realism thing. There's one rough section of track. But all in all, the track did come out quite smooth. I was fairly happy with it in the end. And yeah, and like always with videos like this, only 3 minutes of footage building the actual coaster because in Planet Coaster, the theming is what takes the time. And it certainly did with this. When I thought I was finished, I took a look back on it and thought, no, I don't want it to look like that. I basically placed foliage all around the coaster and a bit of terrain work. And the main reason I wasn't happy with it, it looked good, but it wasn't what I'd had planned for this area originally. So I decided to go back and change it, which was many more hours of work. So all this footage is probably about 6-7 hours. But I'd say there's probably a good 2 or 3 more hours that, you know, weren't even recorded in that I did on this whole coaster and area. So yeah, that's why it's taken so long to get it up. So the station here I'd already built before, which is quite handy. Well, not completely, but I'd built most of it before, so we just stick it in and finish a bit of the theming on it, add some detailing in. It's got us, I almost didn't want to use it at all because it's got a bit of an Arabian vibe, but I still think it fits in with the sort of Romanesque theming around it. And with the next themed area that I've got planned to go sort of to the left of this whole area, this theming will sort of tie the two together. I think it'll be a nice go-between, so I think that will work out quite well in the end. Just having a play about with loads of little pieces, making the piece count way too high. I'm basically dreading the minute when I drag the hotel into this park, because I think my computer is just going to explode and say no, I'm not running that. The FPS still isn't too bad actually if I'm not looking at anything major heavy, but I think by the time the park's finished it's not going to run very well on my PC, so I need to send it to someone that can showcase it in all its glory, because I think it will look quite nice when it's finished, this park. At the moment it's just bits and bobs all sort of coming together. It's always a way when you're sort of in the middle of a project like this, it's hard to keep motivated and try and work towards finishing it, because sometimes you can think, oh well, there's some good things there, but it's just, there's so much to do, and I've deserted so many projects in games like this, just through lack of motivation really, but I am going to keep going with this one. Even if it's just every sort of one video a month or something, just to keep on with it really, and see if we can get it done. So here we're just working on the queue line area, just putting in some standard sort of foliage and fences and stuff like that, rock work, just really filler stuff to fill up the area a bit. And yeah, the sort of theming for this whole area was based on the original Roller Coaster Tycoon Roman architecture, Roman scenery pack, whatever it was, that just worked so well. I mean, it really was brilliant at the time to build with those scenery pieces, and I just wanted to try and replicate it a bit in Planet Coaster, but do my own thing with it. Later in the video you can see we get completely carried away with the theme, because sometimes it's difficult with these big coasters to actually fill out the space around them and not make them look boring. I mean, if it's in a real park, a lot of the time you get a coaster like this, there barely is any theming, it's just sort of rock work and foliage. But yeah, for this one I just wanted loads of theming around it to make it look a bit more interesting, and it's one of them where you try something and it just doesn't work, so you go back to it, try something different, and yeah, several times I just finished a game for the evening and thought, I'm not happy with how that looks, so I'm going to go back to it and work on it again. Going back to the station a bit here, then finishing things off a bit. We do a slight interior for this station, just to make it look a little bit more interesting, just doing some different stuff with the sort of temple pieces, trying to use them in a different theme almost. Not sure quite what I was trying to go for here with the roof pieces. Is that how we keep it? That doesn't look right to me. I'm not sure, but it's not like the thing is about this station, it's not a massive focal point, so it is just a basic station really, with a bit of detailing on it. It's, over the back there's not too much, like I say, focus on the station. You're mainly just looking at the coaster and all the big theming that's around it, which will draw your attention to sort of as you come into the area. And obviously with the log flume at the front and that first drop in the water splash, this is just tucked away, up the side. There will be sort of a clear sort of entrance for guests where the queue begins and stuff. We're going to make a sign for it and everything like that. But yeah, the station wasn't too important. Having said that, it still used up loads more pieces than it probably should have done, and probably needed to. But that's it. It's easy to get carried away when you're building something like this and just end up using tons and tons of pieces. And I think, yeah, like in future parks that I build and stuff, I really need to look at more efficient ways to to use the building pieces, so that I'm not using huge amounts of pieces just for small things. Because this whole Roman area in general is sort of using a lot of tiny bricks just to build every wall. So pretty much everything in this area is made up of tiny pieces. And yeah, it's not good for the performance. I really hope that the Frontier finds some way for future games where they can you can build something out of loads of tiny pieces, and then if you put it together as a blueprint or something, it can then sort of render it as one piece. I mean, if there's a way they can do that, then it would increase the performance so much on the games. But I mean, even to be fair, even Planet Zoo seems to run a lot better than this. So I think they really have improved the what's the word I'm looking for? The sort of, I don't know the way. I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but like the way it manages the performance on your computers has improved a lot since Planet Coaster. So just sticking in some trees then and some light foliage. The thing is, for this Roman area, I didn't want foliage everywhere. That wasn't the sort of theme I was going for, because that's something that I've got in mind for the next area. So for this back section here where the coaster station is, it probably will tie in quite nicely into the next area, like I was saying before. But around the sort of main scenery pieces and stuff for this area, I wanted the foliage to be very light, just a few palm trees and stuff. So again, that's why I went back and changed the area where I put loads of trees in. I don't think I actually show any of the footage from where I covered it in trees in this video, but basically all around the coaster track I just stuck foliage everywhere, and it looked good, but then it wasn't what I was going for. Rock work then around the queue line here. I do feel like if you think your build is looking a bit bland or not too great, then a bit of light rock work, foliage and planting suddenly brings it to life. And that's a good thing really, because yeah, it's sort of, you can be a bit disappointed sometimes with the way something looks, and you know, this foliage and stuff really does add to it. So yeah, and that's another thing about Planet Zoo really. I wish we had the foliage, like the trees off Planet Zoo, in this game. It would look amazing. So I spent ages here, went into Photoshop and tried to make a floor tile image with a load of fish and some sort of Roman floor tiles underneath to make it look like they were swimming on it. And it just didn't work out. So in the end I just stuck some floor tiles down and used one of the TMTK pieces, which are these fish swimming around, because I just wanted some sort of tropical fish in that area. Not really sure why. I put the floor tiles all around here as well, but that does change with a lot of the build. Like what you're seeing get done, that wasn't a good sentence, was it? What you're seeing getting done here isn't the end result. By any means. We do go back and change quite a lot of things. So the plan here was to have a load of sort of more ruined Roman pieces. So yeah, like ruins, like broken down. This is the sort of back end of the Roman area where the city or the town or whatever has been attacked, and this is what's left, the ruined walls and stuff. But yeah, to start with, it just looks so cluttered. I had to change everything about again after this, and in the end I thought the best way to break it up is to stick a river through the middle. So that's what we do. That's what you'll see me put in a minute. And yeah, I think that really helps to break the area up. Then I changed some of the supports on the Cobra roll for the coaster, because it's not, yeah, it looks terrible. The ones that are there, I mean, they are kind of realistic, but they just don't work with the area. I wanted them a lot tighter, a lot closer to the coaster. So in the end, I just built the Cobra roll with separate half loops and corkscrews, but it, you know, it pretty much works the same anyway. And you will see at the end of the video there is a POV of the coaster, because I feel like this whole area is pretty much complete now. There's still some work to do in front of the log flume and stuff, and a bit of work to do on the log flume, and we need some flat rides and restaurants and stuff like that as well to make the Roman area complete. But I think this coaster, the area with the coaster and everything, is complete by the end of this video. So that's a massive chunk of it done, and the park's probably not far off being 2/3 complete now, to be honest. Yeah, I want to try and set a time frame. By the end of summer, I think I want this project complete, so that we can move on to something else. But yeah, I mean, I am really loving playing the game. Like I've said this before, it's one of those games, like, a lot of people are bored of it now and stop playing it because it came out 5 years ago or something now. But because I only got it a year and a half ago, which seems like an eternity ago because that was before COVID. I mean, that could be 8 years ago the way it feels. But yeah, I've only been playing this a year and a half, and it's sort of my secondary game really after Parkitect. So yeah, to be honest, it's one of them, like, I'm still enjoying it the way people probably enjoyed it back in 2018. So that's why I'm still playing the game, I guess. But I am excited to see what Frontier have got for the future. I'm not so into the Jurassic World stuff, but yeah, I'm not gonna say the PC2 word that gets thrown about a lot, you know. So we're building some sort of rubble and stuff like that for the tunnel section here, I guess, and putting in some smoke effects and stuff like that, just to make it look more interesting. And then we do the planting that really makes this come to life and shows how it works as sort of ancient ruins and stuff. This is the bit that's really been forgotten, you know. It's got all the foliage climbing up the building and stuff. And I do this with millions and millions, well, thousands and thousands of little plant pieces that we just sort of rotate and mix and match about a bit. And yeah, you'll see how it really comes together. So that's pretty much it for my time lapse. Well, it's not it for my time lapse, it's it for my commentary. I'll let you enjoy the rest of the video. We've got some cinematics at the end, and make sure you stay tuned in right to the very end, because there's a nice POV of the coaster as well once it's all complete after the cinematic shots. So enjoy the rest of the video, and thank you for watching. I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.